Hello and welcome to Straight Talk with me, Sifiso Mahlangu. I'm in the office of the Minister of Energy, Mr. David Mahlobo. He's just moved into this office after vacating his office as the Minister of State Security. I'm here to find out about the energy deal. Is there a deal with Putin in Russia? Babuntobela, welcome you to the show. You've just vacated your office as the Minister of State Security. Therefore, you were called the ghost of the ANC, or the shadow of President Jacob Zuma, the man no one trusts, the Minister of Intelligence. Therefore, you've moved now to become the Minister of Energy. Has that been a simple transaction to you? Was it an easy move?
You will understand that from time to time, the ANC will find time to reflect, especially the president of the ANC. He wanted to strengthen certain things, and looking on the basis of our skills, it was the biggest honor that the president and the ANC gave me a chance of one of the biggest portfolios to be given a chance to contribute to safety and security of our people, so that they can be able to proceed with their lives, but also South Africa to play an important role in the world. But when the president met with the officials of the ANC and decided to do a reassignment, as a member of the ANC and the cadre, you must always be combat ready for new reassignment. I've been reassigned, and it's a vote of confidence, because even in this era, I'm reassigned is one of the biggest portfolio that has the biggest impact, both in terms of the country's economic prosperity and including the matters of radical economic transformation, where the input of energy is more than 34% of the GDP. We're not only inputting to South Africa, but we're having the biggest footprint in the region. It's one of the exciting times, and I'm very happy. I'm settling in well. There's a capable team of men and women that I find in the energy department, including the entities. I'm very surprised on how South Africans, in the main black South Africans, have been able to find space here. But there's a lot of work that we need to do to transform the sector, but actually make this sector to actually drive the economy. Not only drive the economy of our country for prosperity for all, but then there are matters of security. National security. This country must be in a position to say it can guarantee energy security that is sustainable, that is more affordable, that is more transformative, and more importantly, that has environmental consideration. Because if you don't have energy, it can also be used by other countries as a political cloud. They can be able to actually interfere with your energy system and be able to cause a lot of calamity. Therefore, the issues around economy, politics, and security and national interests are very important in this portfolio.
Just to recap, Minister, in my last conversation with you, we discussed the intelligence report that the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, raised at his exit press conference. Before vacating office, had you found the intelligence report that was raised?
Well, you will know that in the main, I don't want to be ruling from the grave. I've done my part in the state security. We've handed over the issues that are there. And in the main is one of the issues that was there in the M. Let's allow the new leadership, Comrade Bongo, the DG there, they will handle those issues. But I think we sufficiently engage with the South Africans what are our views. And those views, I still stand by them.
But why is there the cloud that surrounds you in an energy deal? What is the Straight Talk, Minister? Is there an energy deal, perhaps, that should be made silent at this point?
Remember, energy is a highly contested terrain, especially in the world. And remember, we are in a capital system, a system that is greedy. It's a survival of the fittest. But there are also those people, when they discuss issues of energy, they want to have a political leverage. And they want to create certain impression. There's also security implication. The people who are putting the mat and the storyline that we are asking for, I've always said, let's calm down. What is government position? The South African government is at a stage that it wants to confirm three things. That one, energy remains the most important catalyst and enabler for economic growth and development. This department has a responsibility to ensure that there is energy security. It must be affordable, because if energy is not affordable, it has serious implications for the poorest of the poor. This energy sector must be transformed to promote socio-economic transformation without any failure. And then lastly, there are issues of environment. Point number 2, this country has a policy, and we must be able to say what is our policy around energy. It's called mixed energy policy. Why do we say it's mixed policy? It's because it's a combination of our natural endowment. In this case, South Africa, we are blessed what we call it renewable sources of energy. We have the sun, we have wind, is not available in all parts of the country. Then we have hydro, which is water. South Africa, you know, we're a water scarce country, but there is an infrastructure like Ingula, there where we have a water plant, a water power plant. But that's why we're saying we're going to be going to the DRC to bring Inga. That's the part we call it renewable sources. They are part of what we have as an endowment. On the other side, we have what we call non-renewables. Non-renewables, we have fossil fuels. Fossil fuels is what actually become the deposit that we call them coal deposit. Then we have a gas, which is coming from your methane bed in our shores. Then lastly, we have uranium. Uranium gives you nuclear. These things that you have, you will never change it because it's an endowment, it's your blessing as a country. Then what we say is that if these resources are there, answer the question, will they be there until the Son of a Man comes back? The answer is no. These sources must be used for future generations. We must conserve them. In other words, you must have a pace that you can know that this is a time you can bring them in. There's issues of scale and affordability. It's an energy mix policy. When it comes to implementation, all of them, if you are going to implement, they must be implemented on the basis of pace. The pace, you look to say, if you are going to build a plant or we are going to mine, how long does it normally take? For renewables, it takes about 2 to 5 years. If you look at the non-renewables like coal, like nuclear, it can take about 7 to 12 years.
So you don't agree that South Africa doesn't need an energy deal under nuclear? Are we not ready for a nuclear deal?
It's not about even not needing it. People must actually have the decent debate. The decent debate, what do you have? We have a nuclear plant. You have a lot of uranium that you need to use. What does it say if you look at the energy balance system? The energy balance system currently what we have, we're using more than 40,000 megawatts that is coming from coal. Then we are having hydro in twofold, more than about 2.8. Nuclear is there in the system, is 1,800 megawatts. Because there are issues of environment that we must look at. Coal is going to be coming down from 90% of our energy production. It will come down to around 65%. Why coal is going to come down? Is because of the obligation around environment. Then there's nuclear. Nuclear is going to increase from 5% to 20%. This is a global trend. And nuclear is the most safest and the cleanest and is more capital intensive. It creates opportunities.
But can South Africa afford it, Minister?
South Africa is not about affording it because people are using the wrong weight. Can you afford it? The issue is that do you need it? If you need it, at what volumes? Who's going to fund it? What is our funding formula? Or you just go for a private funding. In the case of private funding, those who know issues of built environment, we use what you call it build, operate, train and transfer. It's called BOT. In build and operate, you come in. When you come in, let's make an example. You come in, you build at your own cost. Do you know that if you are going to build nuclear, firstly, you will need uranium. In other words, there's going to be opportunities for mining. And where mines are, you create a lot of job, enterprise development, skills development. You can create a new seat.
So, Minister, are you saying that there is a need for nuclear in this country?
There is no discussion about the need. The need is there. But do you know what is the debate?
What is the debate?
The debate is about people who want to influence where the nuclear deal goes. The people, they don't want to tell the story that even in the past, the Americans were interested, the Canadians are interested, the Chinese are interested, the French are interested, and the Russians are interested. Then the issue is to say, let's have a procurement process.
So the bigger problem is that you are speaking to Russia and people are unhappy with your relationship with Russia.
The Soviet people, the Cubans, the Chinese, in all the international solidarity movements that were there, the frontline state, do you know that they paid a price more than all of us as South Africans they've paid? One, for giving us refuge, for giving us support, actually even training our people. The Russian people, we know, when Nobud was prepared, President Tambo went there to the Soviet Union, engaged with the Soviet Union. We opened up offices there. He sent one of our best leaders, J.P. Marx and Moses Gordhan. They went to the Russians with the international solidarity, and that was there. And from there, remember, our struggle for freedom took a different turn, supported by other countries. Russians were there when we needed them. Those elders, when they were sick, they were treated by the Russians for free. They died. When they died, they were buried like statesmen in the Heroes' Acres. Remember, about 2 years ago, they were exhumed, they were brought back home. The price the Cubans paid. I don't want to talk about people of Lesotho who paid the dearest price, the people of Swaziland, the people of Mozambique, the people of Zambia, Angola, and all these other people. South Africans, let's not have a short memory. Who are we? Where do we come from?
Who are our friends? Who are the people who are fighting you on this?
There are those
who are the loudest against
the people who are the loudest
your work with Russia.
The people who are the loudest are those people who have always supported imperialist forces. They know the strategic importance of South Africa. And South Africans must always know we are living in a world where people want to influence us one way or the other. We are an important player in our continent. We're a leader, but we're also the leader in the global community, whether in BRICS, whether it is G77 plus China. People listen to South Africa.
The NEXA chairperson, Mr. Kem, had his laptop stolen, and he says they didn't take anything else. All they wanted was his laptops. Could it be the same people you are alluding to that have taken the laptop, those who defend imperialist forces, as you say, Minister?
Let's also be able to say, what are we dealing with? In other words, if we have the nuclear capability like the old South African apartheid government had, one, we are possessing the best in terms of knowledge and system. Remember, the apartheid government has the capacity to actually produce nuclear arsenals. But we chose to say, no, let's voluntarily disarm. And there are these other people in the world that they think they have the right, God-given right, to actually hold the stockpiles. There are these South Africans that we have who knows the space, how nuclear contributes to medicine, industrialization, manufacturing, and all these other things that are there. Now there are people who want our intellectual property, which is our knowledge. They are trying by all means to steal our information. But they're not only doing that. There are those people who are feeling that even the work we're doing in Pelindaba, we should not be able to be holding those uranium isotopes that are there.
Such as the independent power producers. They would possibly take the Department of Energy out of work if they fully did what they plan to do.
No, if we can just conclude this other one, Mahlangu, you know, it's not only him who has actually been attacked in this way. There are other people who were working in the nuclear program, threatened, and South Africans are quiet. As we are saying, this place is highly contested. The independent power producers is a government policy. They have a space to play. But we are also having the public power producer, which is Eskom. They need to coexist. The reason why you introduce independent power producers is to be able to actually push down the prices of energy so that they can become affordable and be competitive. And as a Minister of Energy, I'm not the Minister of Renewables or the Minister of Non-Renewables. All the sources of energy, South Africa needs them. They are going to be there. They are going to be implemented. But the only thing that this government would always to say, how much are we going to pay for each, which is the affordability. The scale is about the volume. In other words, you know the demand projections, and then the pace is when do they come to the grid. When do you start the construction, do all those particular plans, and that's when is the time that you can be able to say, let's have an uptake agreement. We are ready to put the power line so that people can access it.
About a week or so ago, I did an interview with President Jacob Zuma, and he also put on record that there have been attempts against his life, an attempt to poison him, but he got help and he survived. could the imperialist forces you're talking about be behind the intended poisoning of President Zuma?
Well, I will not speak about the issues of the incident the president spoke about. Remember, in my other job, we should not want to go there. But I can tell you that the forces that are opposed to us, they will do whatever it takes to be in a position to control the destiny of this country. President Zuma is a Pan-Africanist. He loves his country and his people and the continent. And for his ideals, there are those people who don't actually believe that he's an obstructionist to their agenda. President Zuma, working with his brothers and sisters in the BRICS countries, they've given us an alternative in the geopolitics of the world. President Zuma believes in the multilateralism, like currently now, he's the chairperson of SADC. He believes in African solutions for African problems. He believes that we need to have sovereignty as people, that there should not be any country, irrespective of its size and its population, or including its economic muscle or military muscle, must be able to bulldoze that country. For his values and his beliefs, he has been in a position to have people to say he is a stumbling block, because if you can actually weaken the ANC or weaken South Africa, there is a belief that they can make inroads to our African continent.
Are you not concerned then that the ANC is in jeopardy if this theory is true, Minister, and internationalists want to destabilize the ANC because of its Pan-Africanist approach or because of President Zuma's Pan-Africanist approach? Is the ANC then not in danger of collapse because of external and also internal forces?
We have been on record. I still serve in the ANC subcommittee on peace and stability since 2012. We have been on record that there are those people who want to influence the world. The world influences each other in one way or the other. There is nothing wrong to influence each other, but is the underhand tactic of tactic to change governments. And you then have to raise the awareness of your society to say, please don't collaborate with these forces who are in a manner that is wittingly or unwittingly. The former liberation movements in our continent, especially in our region, they've been under attack over quite some time. They want to reduce our majority. They wanted to come in and cause splits in the parties. They wanted to capitalize in the mistakes that the former liberation movements are making and be able to use the issues of our people and weaknesses as issues that they can mobilize against those liberation movements. And it is important that all former liberation movements, including the ANC, who are very vigilant, understand that unity and unity of our movement can translate into the unity of our people that we lead. But at the very same time, we should be in a position to be able to say, those comrades who are actually unknowingly working with the enemies of our movement and our people, let's be able to alert them. But there are those, it's natural all over the world, that there are those that will work deliberately to seek to sow divisions. But our people, they will be able to see them, because in terms of their language, in terms of their conduct, and actually defending something that are indefensible at the expense of our people.
Are you saying then that, Minister, the ANC is infiltrated by external forces, people who give money in order for regime change? Is the ANC infiltrated?
There's been a lot of focus, not only on the ANC, as I've said, in all other liberation movements. ANC is being influenced. There's nothing wrong for the ANC being influenced. But if the ANC is being influenced by the use of money, which is happening in certain quarters of the ANC, we need to be able to frown on it, be able to deal decisively. ANC is also being influenced about the policy position that it takes. Some of the policies are being twisted in such a way that they don't respond to what the ANC believes. Therefore, these are the issues that I think when we conclude our 54th National Elective Conference, we should be able to deal with that. The paper that we produced as a subcommittee on peace and stability was very much on detail. And even the SG of the ANC, who have always been saying, let's improve political education and astuteness of our members so that they be able to understand the balance of forces and how the ANC must respond.
Speaking of policy of the ANC, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa released what he calls the New Deal. The New Deal is a new policy on the South African economy. The ANC's policy is radical economic transformation. Is that a conflict of interest, Minister? We are aware of radical economic transformation. There is now the introduction of a new economic policy called the New Deal. What is happening here?
Well, what is happening is that the ANC is finding itself in a difficult period. The manner in which the ANC has always managed issues of leadership, and that leadership issues are mostly determined by the members of the ANC. There's been an emerging culture of people going out now on their own, actually mobilizing and campaigning for themselves, while we have actually taken a decision as the NEC to say how should we handle these particular issues. The levels of insult amongst comrades, the levels of character assassination, we must frown as members of the ANC. And all of a sudden, there's an emergence of certain styles that are very foreign to the organization. The organization in December must be able to correct itself. And if it wants to modernize and open certain issues, the organization will initially make a decision. The most important issue is that the ANC policy decision around economy, around security, around governance, around many issues, they have not changed. The policy does not belong to individuals. The policy belongs to the collective. It gets to be shaped by the individual. Ultimately, if there are changes in the ANC economic policy, by the 20th of December, we'll have pronounced. If there's a change around policies, around international relations, around peace and security, all these other issues, the ANC will determine that. But what I know, the policy of the ANC as adopted in Mangaung is socio-economic radical transformation that we must pursue without any fear or faith.
But why do you need a policy conference if a senior leader of the ANC's deputy president, can then, a few days before the elective conference, introduce a new economic solution or a new economic policy? Why go through the policy conference?
Well, I'm not in a business of judging conduct of members of the ANC and prejudge them. What I will always communicate is to say, how does ANC do its business? Because imagine all of us as members of the ANC, I sit in the NEC, I sit in the NWC. I started to divert from the policy traditions of our movement and make pronouncement outside the policy position. You don't do that as an organization. It's just how the ANC works. But then you could see that there's something happening in terms on how are we handling issues around the succession, when we have always known that these matters are the matters of the branches to choose who are the leaders of the organization. Remember, 90% of the people who are coming there are the branch delegates. And if there is any issue that the ANC must reform its traditions and practices, let's subject them to our tradition. When the organization has agreed that this is a new ways of doing things, then we can be able to do that.
What is happening in Zimbabwe? Is it the recapture or the renewal of the colonial masters, or a revolution in the making?
Well, what I know is that President Zuma, as a president of the chairperson of SADC, working with his brother and comrade, who's the president of Angola, His Excellency President Lorenzo, they've met, and the ministers have met. SADC has issued a statement, to say the difficulties that the Zimbabwean people were going through, how should they actually be handled? And you know that there are developments that are currently happening there. Let's respect the SADC position. And the president has been very capable in managing those particular issues, rather than to get into passing a judgment about the situation in Zimbabwe. The only comfort we have is that whatever has happened in Zimbabwe, there was not even a shedding of one blood, which is very important, because whatever any nation goes through, but it must not be at the expense of the lives of our people. But as I said, President Zuma and the other members of SADC, they will be able to guide us to say what is our South Africa's position going forward. But more importantly, when President briefed us in cabinet, these matters were very happy that they are within a proper management process.
I couldn't overlook, Minister, that you were mentioned in the book, The President's Keepers. Though not much was said about you, your name mentioned twice, it also appeared that NEC member, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, was at the signing of the book, signing his own autographs on some of the copies of The President's Keepers. Do you think it was right for your name to be mentioned in the book? And how do you respond to your fellow NEC member signing copies of a book that slants you and others of the ruling party?
Well, one of the things that we should always know, I will never be in a position to be responding to every opinion about me. There are those opinions that I feel they are very constructive. They make us to be better people. Imagine every newspaper article, every book that is written, they talk about us. It does not make it true. Because where some of these articles that are written and the books that are written, they don't even care about what we call it audit and parte. You just do a collation of various issues, you bring them together. At this stage, personally, I've read the book. There is nothing adversely that is being said there about me. If there was something adversely said about me, I would have considered my options. But this issue to say I'm a president strongman, it's an honor. It's an honor to have worked in a serious portfolio like being a Minister of State Security. It's a position of trust. It's a position of someone with a high level of integrity. Therefore, to have served President Zuma and the ANC and the people of South Africa in that capacity is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Equally, the same responsibility that the President and the ANC has given me is the demonstration of that they see something in me that in my own small way, I can use my skills and capabilities at the disposal of the ANC and the people of the Republic. But if you can be able to be following each and every issue people they raise about you, whether factual or not factual, especially this time around, you can respond to a matter. As long as people have preconceived ideas, they still write and scandalize people, character assassinate them, because they know what is the agenda is. There are those houses and individuals that their preoccupation is to be able to say, irrespective of what is happening, they must serve their masters. And I wish them good luck.
Thank you, Minister. We're sadly out of time, but thank you for this interview.
Thank you.
And that was Minister David Mahlobo, the Minister of Energy. I am Sifiso Mahlangu. This is Straight Talk, only on Channel 405. We are called ANN7. Thank you for watching. It's a goodbye from me.